8 years after our divorce, my ex-husband took the microphone at our school reunion, looked straight at me, and said, "Let's all give a warm welcome to the woman who proved that being quiet in school can still lead to a quiet life." The ballroom laughed. Not everyone, but enough. Enough for the sound to spread across the room like spilled wine. Enough for old classmates to turn in their chairs. Enough for the woman standing beside him, his new wife, to cover her mouth and giggle like she had not helped him plan it. Enough for me to feel, for one sharp second, like the girl I used to be. The girl in the back row. The girl with second-hand shoes. The girl who carried library books against her chest because they were easier to trust than people. The girl who once loved Marcus Grant because he made her feel visible. Now he stood on the small stage in the Grand Hotel ballroom, wearing an expensive navy suit, holding the reunion microphone like he had been crowned king of the past. His wife Talia stood near the stage steps in a gold dress, smiling at me with the bright cruelty of a woman who believed she had won a contest I was no longer playing. Behind them, a large banner hung across the wall. Westbridge Academy, 25-year reunion. The same school where Marcus had been the golden boy, debate captain, basketball star, student council president. The boy teachers praised even when others did the work. The boy rich parents invited to dinner because they believed he was going places. And me? I was Olivia Bennett, scholarship student, baker's daughter, quiet girl, excellent grades. No important last name. No designer backpack. No mother on the PTA board. No father at career day because he worked nights and slept mornings. Back then, Marcus used to tell me he admired my mind. Later, when we were married, he called that same mind stubborn. Back then, he called my quiet mysterious. Later, he called it boring. Back then, he said I was the only person who understood him. Later, he told the divorce court I had failed to grow with his world. And now, 8 years after leaving me for a woman with brighter clothes, louder friends, and a family name that opened doors, he was mocking me in front of the people who had known me before life had done its damage. He lifted his glass. "Olivia always loved staying in the background," he continued. "So honestly, seeing her here tonight is inspiring. It takes courage to show up when everyone else has moved so far ahead." More laughter. This time, less comfortable. A few people looked down at their plates. One of my old classmates, Rachel, turned toward me with wide, apologetic eyes. My best friend, Nina, who had begged me not to attend this reunion, whispered, "Say the word, and I will ruin his life with this butter knife." I placed one hand gently over hers. "Not yet." Marcus smiled like he had landed the perfect joke. He thought I had come alone because I had no one. He thought my simple black dress meant I had not changed. He thought the absence of jewelry around my neck meant poverty instead of preference. No idea that the quiet girl he mocked had become the founder and majority owner of Bennett Global Foods, a billion-dollar company supplying ethical food products, school nutrition programs, and women-owned bakeries across 3 continents. No idea that the hotel hosting the reunion belonged to a hospitality group I had acquired 18 months earlier. No idea that the scholarship fund sponsoring half the reunion weekend had been donated anonymously by me in my late father's name. No idea that his own company had submitted a desperate partnership proposal to my board just 3 weeks earlier. No idea that the quiet life he had just mocked was the life paying for the lights above his head. I had planned to keep it that way. That was the truth. I had not come to embarrass Marcus. I had not come to show off. I had not come with security, cameras, diamonds, or a speech prepared in case the man who once broke my heart decided to remind the room that he had never respected it. I came because my father had always wanted me to attend one reunion without hiding. "Go back once," he told me before he died. "Not to prove anything, just to let the girl you were see the woman you became." So I went. For him. For that girl. For closure. But Marcus had mistaken my peace for weakness. Again. He lowered the microphone slightly and tilted his head. "Olivia, stand up. Let everyone see you." The room shifted. My stomach tightened. Nina whispered, "Do not." But I stood, slowly, not because he told me to, because I was done being seated inside someone else's version of me. The room quieted. Marcus blinked once. Maybe he noticed then that I was not shaking. Maybe he noticed the way the hotel manager near the back suddenly stood straighter. Maybe he noticed the event coordinator's face turn pale because she knew exactly who I was. I looked at Marcus on the stage, then at Talia, then at the classmates who had laughed, the classmates who had not, the teachers who had grown old, the people who once made me feel like a visitor in rooms I had earned my way into. Marcus lifted the microphone again. "Speech?" he joked. I smiled. Yes. The smile faded from his face. I walked toward the stage. Every step sounded clear against the polished floor. Someone began clapping uncertainly, thinking perhaps this was part of the entertainment. It was not. Marcus held the microphone away from me for half a second. A small, old power move. Then the hotel manager stepped forward. "Mr. Grant," she said, voice polite but firm, "please give Ms. Bennett the microphone." Ms. Bennett. Not Olivia. Not Marcus's ex-wife. Not quiet girl. Ms. Bennett. Marcus looked confused, but he handed it over. I took the microphone and turned toward the room. For a moment, I saw my younger self sitting in the back of a classroom, pretending she did not hear girls laughing at her shoes. I saw the woman I became during marriage, standing in a kitchen while Marcus told me I did not belong beside him anymore. I saw the night he left, the divorce papers, the unpaid bills, the bakery oven my father repaired 3 times because we could not afford a new one. Then I saw my father's hands dusted with flour, my mother's old recipe book, the first invoice from my first customer, the first million, the first factory, the first school lunch program, the first $1 billion valuation. And suddenly, Marcus looked very small. "Thank you, Marcus," I said. My voice was calm, clear. The room held still. "You are right about one thing. I was quiet in school." A few people lowered their eyes. I was quiet because I was working after classes at my father's bakery. I was quiet because I was tired. I was quiet because I was tired in this room had decided my scholarship made me lucky instead of qualified. I was quiet because sometimes silence is the only shield a young girl has when she cannot afford to fight every insult. The ballroom changed. No one laughed now. I continued. I stayed quiet in my marriage too. For too long, I stayed quiet when Marcus told people he built his first business alone, though I worked nights balancing his books. I stayed quiet when he used my father's recipes for client gifts and called them Grant family tradition. I stayed quiet when he told investors he had outgrown the life we built together. I stayed quiet when he left. Marcus's face hardened. "Olivia," he said under his breath. I looked at him. "No, Marcus. You asked me to stand." A murmur moved through the room. I turned back to the guests. For 8 years after the divorce, I stayed quiet publicly, not because I had nothing to say, because I was busy building. Talia's smile disappeared. I nodded toward the large screen behind the stage. The hotel manager, still near the back, understood. She whispered into her headset. The reunion slideshow vanished. In its place appeared a simple logo. Bennett Global Foods. Under it, the words, "Founder and Chairwoman, Olivia Bennett." The room went silent. Then came whispers. Fast, confused, recognizing, disbelieving. Marcus stared at the screen. His mouth opened slightly. I looked at him. "You said everyone else had moved far ahead. You were right again. Some of us moved so far ahead that we no longer needed to announce it." The first person to clap was not Nina. It was Mrs. Harper, my old English teacher, now frail and seated near the front. She had once slipped me lunch money inside a copy of Jane Eyre and pretended it was a bookmark. Her hands came together slowly. Then Rachel joined. Then someone else. Then half the room. Then nearly everyone. Marcus stood beside me, pale and stiff, while the applause grew around him like a door closing. I lifted the microphone one final time. And since this reunion is about remembering where we came from, I am pleased to announce that the Bennett Foundation is funding a full scholarship program for Westbridge students whose families work too hard to be called lucky. The applause became louder. Some people stood. I looked toward the back of the room, where the banner hung over faces from a past that once scared me. Then I turned to Marcus. "You called my life quiet," I said softly, but the microphone carried every word. "No, Marcus. My life became peaceful. That is what it sounds like when a woman no longer has to beg to be heard." I handed the microphone back to the hotel manager and stepped off the stage. I did not look back, but I heard the moment someone near Marcus whispered, "Wait, isn't his company trying to get a deal with hers?" Yes, it was. And by morning, Marcus Grant would learn that the woman he mocked at the reunion was the only person who could have saved his failing company. Before I continue, tell me where you are watching from tonight, and if you have ever been underestimated by someone who only remembers the version of you they could control, stay with this story, because sometimes the quiet person is not behind. Sometimes she is simply building where arrogant people cannot see. My name is Olivia Bennett. For 9 years, I was Olivia Grant. That name once sounded like a future. Then it became a hallway I could not breathe in. Now it is only a signature on old papers stored in a folder I rarely open. I was born in the back apartment above Bennett Bakery, a narrow brick shop on the corner of Willow and Fifth. My father, Thomas Bennett, had inherited the bakery from his mother, who inherited the recipes from her mother, who learned them from women who measured with palms, pinches, memory, and love. My mother, Elise, died when I was 6. Breast cancer. I remember pieces. Her blue scarf. Her soft singing in the kitchen. The way my father's face changed whenever he thought I was not looking. After she died, the bakery became our house, our work, our grief, and our way of surviving. My father woke at 3 every morning. By 4, the ovens were on. By 5, the whole building smelled like bread, cinnamon, butter, and coffee. By 6, the first customers came. I slept in the apartment above the bakery, but I grew up downstairs, doing homework at the flour-dusted counter, folding pastry boxes, wiping tables, learning multiplication by counting rolls, learning patience by watching dough rise, learning love from a man who was always tired but never too tired to ask about my day. My father was not rich, but he had dignity that money could not buy. He believed work was sacred when done honestly. He believed food carried memory. He believed children should never be ashamed of helping their parents survive. "Live," he used to say. "A clean apron is nice, but flour on your clothes means somebody ate today." That sentence held me through many hard years. Westbridge Academy was not meant for girls like me. I attended because of a scholarship. My elementary school principal submitted my name after I won a statewide essay contest. Westbridge was private, beautiful, old, and full of children who used summer as a verb. They summered in Maine. They wintered in Aspen. They vacationed in places I only knew from magazine covers customers left behind in the bakery. I arrived in 9th grade wearing a Navy uniform my father bought secondhand from another family. The skirt hem had been let down twice. My shoes were polished but old. My backpack was plain. My lunch came in a paper bag because the cafeteria plan cost too much. On the first day, a girl named Meredith looked at my sandwich and said, "That bread smells strong." I said, "My father baked it." She wrinkled her nose. How rustic. I learned quickly. Do not bring strong-smelling food. Do not mention money. Do not mention work. Do not cry in bathrooms during lunch, because someone will hear and tell others. Do not raise your hand too often. Do not let them know how much you want to belong. I was quiet, but I was not empty. I watched everything. Who cheated? Who lied? Who was kind when no one important was looking? Who treated scholarship students like charity projects? Who spoke differently to janitors than to headmasters? Marcus Grant was not cruel to me in school. That is important. He was kind. At least, kinder than most. He first spoke to me in chemistry class after I corrected an equation on the board that even the teacher had missed. Everyone laughed, not at the teacher, but at the shock of quiet Olivia Bennet speaking. After class, Marcus caught up with me. "You saved us from wrong science," he said. I smiled despite myself. "I doubt wrong science would have killed you. With my grades, it might have." He was handsome even then. Confident, but not yet cold. He had brown eyes, easy charm, and the kind of smile that made teachers forgive late assignments. He came from a respected family. His father owned a chain of insurance offices. His mother chaired committees. His house had columns, a pool, and a pantry bigger than our apartment kitchen. But Marcus seemed interested in me. He asked about books I carried. He sat beside me in the library. He defended me once when a boy joked that I smelled like bread. "Better bread than cologne trying too hard," Marcus said. Everyone laughed. The boy shut up. I never forgot that. When you are lonely, even small protection feels like love before love has arrived. We became friends first, then something more. Not officially in high school. His world would not have allowed that easily, and I was too proud to become his secret. But there were moments. A shared umbrella after debate practice. A note in my locker before exams. His hand brushing mine during a school play. The way he looked at me on graduation day, as if he wanted to say something he did not yet have courage to say. We went separate ways for college. He attended a business program in Boston. I studied food science and business on scholarships, part-time jobs, and bakery money stretched so thin my father joked it had become pastry dough. We reconnected 6 years later. At a Westbridge alumni networking event. I almost did not attend. My father made me. "You earned that school," he said. "Stop acting like you snuck in." So I went in a black dress from a clearance rack, shoes I could barely walk in, and enough nerves to fuel a train. Marcus saw me across the room. He looked older, sharper, more polished, but when he smiled, I saw the boy from chemistry class. "Olivia Bennet," he said. "Still making every room smarter?" I laughed. That laugh cost me years. We began dating soon after. At first, it felt like a story correcting itself. The scholarship girl and the golden boy. The unfinished high school almost romance becoming adult love. My father was cautious, not rude, just careful. He liked Marcus, but did not trust charm without evidence. One night, after Marcus left the bakery, my father asked, "Does he see you, or does he see the idea of finding you again?" I rolled my eyes. "Dad." "What?" I asked good questions. "He sees me." My father dusted flour off his hands. "I hope so, but keep both eyes open. People from marble houses sometimes like bakery warmth until it sticks to their clothes." I did not listen closely enough. Marcus and I married when I was 29. The wedding was elegant, but not grand. My father baked the cake himself. 3 tiers of vanilla almond with lemon cream, decorated with tiny sugar flowers he stayed up all night making. Marcus cried when he saw me walk down the aisle. His mother, Caroline Grant, did not cry. She smiled, carefully, like she approved of the romance but not the long-term implications. During the reception, she told one of her friends, "Olivia is very grounding for Marcus. He has always needed something real after all that ambition." Something real, not someone. I heard it. Marcus heard it too. He squeezed my hand under the table. But he did not correct her. That became the pattern. That became the pattern. Marcus's business began 2 years into our marriage. Grant Strategic, a consulting firm for mid-sized food brands looking to expand into retail chains. Marcus had the polish, the connections, the confidence. I had the knowledge. Food sourcing, production schedules, labeling rules, shelf life concerns, supplier relationships, consumer trends. The difference between a product that looks good on a pitch deck and one that can survive a grocery freezer. I helped because I loved him, and because food was my world. My father helped too. He introduced Marcus to local suppliers. He shared recipes that could be adapted for larger production. He explained why cheap ingredients ruin trust faster than bad marketing. Marcus listened at first. He took notes. He called my father the wisest man in flour. My father laughed. I glowed. In those early days, Marcus said, "We," often. We are building something. We understand food differently. We can help small brands grow without losing soul. Then came the first major client, a family-owned frozen pastry company trying to enter regional grocery chains. Marcus nearly lost the account because his proposal was too glossy and not practical enough. I rewrote the operations section, adjusted the production timeline, added supplier risk notes, and created a realistic rollout plan. The client signed. The project succeeded. A trade magazine interviewed Marcus. He said, "I have always had an instinct for what food brands need before they know it themselves." I read that sentence at the bakery counter while my father shaped dough. He saw my face. "What?" I handed him the magazine. He read it, then placed it down gently. "Did he mention you?" "No." "Did he mention the bakery?" "No." My father nodded slowly. "First time?" I looked at him. "First time what?" "First time someone eats from your plate and tells people he cooked." I laughed because I wanted it to be small. My father did not. I spoke to Marcus that night. He apologized. "Sort of. I got nervous," he said. "The interview moved fast. You said you always had the instinct." "You know what I meant." "I know what you said." He kissed my forehead. "Liv, we are married. My wins are yours." That sounded beautiful. But over time, I learned it only worked one way. His wins were ours. My work was his. The business grew quickly after that. Marcus moved into better offices, hired analysts, took investor meetings, spoke at food industry conferences. People began calling him the brand whisperer. His confidence became performance. Then the performance became personality. He stopped asking for my input. Then he started taking it without asking. He would bring home documents, leave them on the kitchen table, and say, "Look at this if you have time." I always did. Then I would find my comments transformed into his talking points. At dinners, he introduced me as my wife, Olivia. She grew up in a bakery, so she keeps me honest. People laughed. I smiled. Inside, something dimmed. My father noticed every dimming. He tried to warn me. "Get paperwork," he said. "For what?" "Your contributions." "Dad, it's marriage. It is also business." He would never cheat me. My father wiped the counter slowly. People do not always begin by planning to cheat. Sometimes they begin by accepting benefits and end by believing they deserve them. That was one of his truest sentences. I ignored it because I was still trying to protect love from reality. Then my father got sick. Heart failure. Years of early mornings, stress, and ignoring his own symptoms had caught him. I tried to balance the bakery, Marcus's business, hospital visits, and home. Marcus was supportive for the first month. Then impatient. Then resentful. "You missed the investor dinner," he said one night. My father couldn't breathe. "I understand that, but this was important." I stared at him. So was oxygen. He rubbed his forehead. "You always make me sound selfish." "No, your words do." He slept in the guest room that night. My father died 6 months later. Before he passed, he called me close in the hospital. His voice was weak. His hands still smelled faintly of flour, though he had not worked in weeks. "Liv," he whispered, "the bakery papers. I know where they are." "No, listen. Don't sell quick. Don't sign tired. And don't let Marcus make your father's work look like his family story." I cried. "Dad, please don't do this." He smiled faintly. "I am your father. Last-minute advice is my right." I held his hand. He looked at me with such love it still hurts to remember. "You were never less because they had more," he said. Those were his final full words to me. After he died, I lost myself for a while. Grief does not always look like crying. Sometimes it looks like doing everything slowly, burning toast, forgetting bills, standing in the bakery after closing, unable to turn off the lights because darkness felt too final. Marcus gave a polished speech at the funeral. People praised him. "He is such a strong husband. He is holding her together. He has been wonderful. They did not see him checking emails in the parking lot. They did not hear him tell me 2 weeks later that keeping the bakery open was sentimental and inefficient. They did not know he suggested using my father's recipes for a new client campaign. I said no. He said, "You are letting grief block opportunity." That was when something between us cracked. A year after my father died, Marcus met Talia Rhodes. She came from the world Caroline Grant had always wanted for him. Wealthy family, private clubs, fashionable charity boards, confident laugh, smooth hair, a father who invested in companies and liked men who looked like they knew how to win. Talia was not his wife then. She was a strategic partner. That was what he called her. She worked in investor relations and knew how to package people for money. She saw Marcus not as a man who needed grounding, but as a brand ready for elevation. She flattered him with precision. She praised his vision. She never mentioned the bakery. She never saw the early unpaid work. She entered after the struggle, which meant Marcus could pretend the struggle had never needed me. The affair was not immediate. Or maybe it was. I only know when I began feeling replaced. Invitations stopped including me. Marcus said, "It's business." Late calls became private. Marcus said, "It's confidential." Talia's name appeared on travel itineraries. Marcus said, "She knows the investor network." I asked if he was leaving me. He looked annoyed. Not everything is about your insecurity. There is a special pain in being called insecure by someone actively making you unsafe. The divorce came 6 months later. He framed it gently. "We are different people now," he said. "No, you are different in public now." He sighed. "You're angry." "I'm awake." He looked away. The settlement fight was cold. Marcus's lawyers argued Grant Strategic had grown from his leadership and outside investment. My informal work was spousal support. My father's recipes, introductions, and bakery knowledge were inspiration, not measurable business contributions. I was grieving, tired, and outmatched. The bakery was struggling. Medical bills remained. Marcus offered a settlement that looked decent enough to people who did not know what I had given. I took it. Not because it was fair, because I wanted out before I became a ghost. Talia married him 14 months later. Their wedding photos were in a lifestyle magazine. The caption called Marcus self-made. I threw the magazine away, then dug it out of the trash because rage had become a kind of fuel. That night, I sat in the bakery alone with my father's recipe book open in front of me. Bennett Bakery was failing. The old ovens needed replacing. The neighborhood was changing. Debt was growing. I had 2 choices: close quietly or become the woman my father believed I could be. I chose the second. Not all at once. At first, I only wanted to save the bakery. I studied food production, applied for small business grants, met with local school nutrition directors, learned about wholesale supply, converted some of my father's bread recipes into healthier school products using better ingredients than the frozen industrial food most districts served. People said it would not work. Too expensive, too complicated, too idealistic. A small bakery could not supply schools. They were almost right. Almost. I partnered with 3 other small bakeries, then a local farm cooperative, then a nonprofit fighting childhood hunger. Our first contract was tiny. 2 elementary schools, whole grain rolls, breakfast muffins, and vegetable hand pies. Children liked them. Parents liked them. Teachers liked that kids were eating. A local paper wrote about us. Then a nearby district called. Then another. I named the program Bennett Table. The bakery became a production kitchen. Then we opened a second kitchen. Then a regional facility. I hired women who had been pushed out of family food businesses, former cafeteria workers, single mothers, food science graduates with student debt and big ideas, and older bakers who understood dough better than machines did. We made mistakes. So many mistakes. A delivery truck broke down on the hottest day of the year. A batch of muffins collapsed. A supplier lied. A bank rejected us. An investor asked if I had a male operations partner. I said no, but I have 3 women who can read a balance sheet faster than you can finish that sentence. He did not invest. Good. The right investors came later. One was an older woman named Miriam Stone, who had built a grocery distribution company and sold it for more money than she ever spent. She tasted our school breakfast bread, looked around the facility, and said, "This tastes like somebody's father stayed up early." I cried in front of her. She invested, but not only money. She taught me scale, contracts, distribution, manufacturing discipline, governance, how to protect mission when capital arrives. "How much do you want?" she asked me once. "To feed children well. That is purpose." I asked size. I hesitated. She leaned forward. "Do not make your dreams small so other people feel safe." That sentence unlocked something. Bennett Table became Bennett Foods. Then, Bennett Global Foods. We expanded into school nutrition, hospital meals, community food programs, ethical frozen products, and bakery supply chains. We acquired struggling regional producers and kept workers employed. We built women-owned supplier networks. We entered international markets through partnerships with schools and relief programs. 10 years after Marcus told me I had not grown with his world, Bennett Global Foods was valued at over $1 billion. I did not announce it loudly. The business press did that for me. But Marcus never connected it to me. Why? Because I used my birth name, Olivia Bennett. Because he did not follow my world. Because men like Marcus assume women they leave remain where they left them. When the Westbridge reunion invitation arrived, I had just completed the acquisition of the Ellery Hotel Group. It included the Grand Hotel, where Westbridge had held many events over the years, including our reunion. I nearly declined. Then I remembered my father's final words. "You were never less, because they had more." So I went. Nina came with me. She had been my friend since college, a lawyer with a laugh that could scare weak men. She knew everything: the marriage, the divorce, the company, the valuation, the hotel. When we entered the ballroom, she whispered, "You know, we could have arrived with your name on a banner." "No." "A small banner?" "No." "A tasteful billionaire entrance?" "Nina." She sighed. "Fine. But if Marcus tries anything, I become a public problem." I should have believed her. At first, the reunion was almost pleasant. Mrs. Harper hugged me and cried. Rachel apologized for not being kinder in school. An old classmate named David told me my scholarship speech at graduation had inspired his daughter to apply for financial aid instead of giving up. Some people recognized my company name and approached respectfully. Others did not. That was fine. I did not need recognition from people who once measured worth by lunch tables. Then Marcus arrived with Talia. He looked successful from a distance. Still handsome. Still polished. Still smiling like cameras lived in the walls. But closer, I saw strain. The tight jaw. The restless eyes. The way Talia corrected his sleeve before anyone took a photo. Their marriage had become a performance. I knew the signs. Marcus saw me near the dessert table. For a second, surprise crossed his face. Then amusement. "Olivia Bennett," he said. "You came." I was invited. Talia smiled. How brave. Reunions can be uncomfortable when people have not kept up. Nina inhaled sharply beside me. I touched her wrist. Marcus laughed lightly. "Talia." "What?" she said. "I mean emotionally kept up." "Of course." I looked at her. "Talia, you look well." That annoyed her. Kindness is difficult for people who came ready to wound. Marcus asked what I was doing these days. Not with interest. With the tone of a man preparing to compare. I said, "Food systems." He smirked. "Still close to the bakery then?" "Yes." He looked almost pleased. "That suits you." It did. Just not in the small way he meant. Dinner was served. Speeches began. Old awards. Memories. Photos. Then Marcus was invited to say a few words because he had once been student council president and still knew how to position himself near microphones. His speech started normally. Jokes about aging. Teachers. Old uniforms. Then his eyes found me, and he could not resist. That was Marcus's flaw. He could survive success. He could survive failure. He could not survive an opportunity to feel superior. So he mocked me, and I answered. After my speech, the reunion did not recover its old shape. People clustered around me, some congratulating, some apologizing, some pretending they had always believed in me. The hotel staff moved with extra care. The reunion committee chair looked like she might faint from realizing the hotel owner had been publicly insulted from the stage. Marcus remained near the stage with Talia, surrounded by a small pocket of silence. Nina returned from the bar with sparkling water. "Well," she said, "that was emotionally nutritious." I laughed. For the first time that night, freely. Mrs. Harper came to me, holding her cane. "Olivia," she said, "I knew you would do something extraordinary." I hugged her carefully. "You gave me lunch money once." She smiled. "I gave many students lunch money. You hid mine in books. You were proud. I was hungry." Her eyes filled. "I know. Some wounds heal only when someone finally says they saw them." Later that evening, as music played and people danced awkwardly, like adults pretending knees still worked the way they did at 17, Marcus approached me. Alone. No Talia, no microphone, no smile. "Olivia," he said. "Marcus." He looked toward the screen, now back to reunion photos. "You could have told me." I almost laughed. "Told you what?" "That you were Bennett Global." "You asked what I did. I said food systems." His mouth tightened. "You let me embarrass myself." "No, Marcus. I let you speak." That landed. He looked away. "I didn't know." "I know. I know." "I would never have said that if I knew." I studied him. "That is not the defense you think it is." His face flushed. You mean you would have treated me with respect if you knew I had power." Silence. Then, low, "That's unfair." "No. Unfair was using my father's work and calling yourself self-made. Unfair was letting your lawyers erase my contribution. Unfair was leaving while I was grieving, and then marrying the woman you told me not to worry about. This is just uncomfortable." His eyes flickered. He had not expected the list. Men rarely expect women to remember in full sentences. "I was unhappy," he said. "So was I. We were young." "No, Marcus. We were grown. You were ambitious, and I was useful." He looked down. For a moment, the old boy from chemistry class appeared. The one who defended me from the bread joke. I almost missed him. Then he said, "My company is in trouble." There it was. The real reason beneath the apology trying to form. I waited. He continued. "Grant Strategic has been trying to pivot into food systems consulting. We submitted a proposal to Bennett Global." "I know." His face changed. "You reviewed it?" "No, my board did. I saw the summary." He swallowed. "And?" "It was weak." Pain crossed his face, followed by pride. "We could improve it." "I'm sure you could. Would you consider meeting?" I looked at him. "After tonight?" He exhaled sharply. I made a joke. "No, Marcus, you made a choice." He stepped closer. "Olivia, don't punish my employees because of our past." There it was again. His gift for turning consequences into my cruelty. "Your employees deserve leadership that does not rely on the ex-wife you publicly mocked to rescue them." He looked stricken. I softened only enough to be honest. "If Grant Strategic submits a stronger proposal through proper channels, it will be reviewed fairly. Not favorably, fairly." He stared at me. That was not the answer he wanted, but it was better than he deserved. "Thank you," he said. I nodded. As he turned to leave, I added, "Marcus." He stopped. "Do not ever mention my father's bakery again like it was a small place." His face tightened. Then he nodded once. "I'm sorry," he said. It sounded real. Still late. Still late. Still limited. But real enough to leave on the floor between us. Talia did not apologize. She cornered me near the restroom 20 minutes later. Her face was composed, but her eyes were hot. "You enjoyed that," she said. "Not as much as you think. You humiliated my husband." I looked at her. "Your husband humiliated himself, publicly, with a microphone." She stepped closer. "You think money makes you untouchable?" "No. Experience made me careful. Money only makes my boundaries easier to enforce." Her mouth tightened. "I know women like you." I smiled gently. "No, Talia. You know men like Marcus. That is why you are angry at me instead of him." She flinched. A direct hit. For half a second, her mask slipped. I saw exhaustion, fear, the knowledge that she had married the same man, only with better suits and fewer excuses. Then the mask returned. "Stay away from us," she said. "With pleasure." The reunion ended after midnight. As I left, the hotel manager walked me to the side entrance to avoid the cluster of people still wanting to talk. Nina linked her arm through mine. "You know," she said, "your father would have loved that." "My speech?" "No. The part where the hotel staff made Marcus give you the microphone." I laughed. She was right. My father loved quiet reversals. In the car, I looked back at the hotel glowing against the night. I thought I would feel triumphant. Instead, I felt tender. Not toward Marcus, toward the girl I had been. The girl who sat in Westbridge classrooms pretending not to care when rich students laughed. The young wife who smiled beside Marcus while he stole language from her work. The grieving daughter who signed too much away because she was too tired to keep fighting. The woman who built anyway. I wished I could go back and tell her, "You are not behind. You are gathering ingredients." The next morning, news of the reunion spread quietly at first, then publicly. Someone had recorded Marcus's joke and my response. A short clip appeared online with the caption, "Ex-husband mocks quiet ex-wife at school reunion, learns she's billionaire founder of Bennett Global Foods." It spread faster than I wanted. Business pages picked it up. Old classmates posted memories. Some people criticized me for flexing wealth. Others defended me. A few food industry reporters used it as an excuse to write profiles about Bennett Global's school nutrition mission. My communications team called at 7 a.m. "Olivia," my chief of staff said, "do you want us to respond?" "No." "Nothing?" "Release the scholarship announcement. Keep the focus on students." By noon, Bennett Foundation announced the Thomas Bennett Scholarship for working-class students entering food science, agriculture, nutrition, culinary arts, or business operations. 100 full scholarships over 10 years. My father's name on every one. That mattered more than Marcus's embarrassment. Marcus's proposal to Bennett Global was officially rejected 2 weeks later. Not because of the reunion, because it was not good enough. The review committee found vague execution plans, inflated claims, weak operational depth, and too much emphasis on branding over substance. I did not overrule them. Marcus sent one email. "Olivia, I hope you know this decision affects real people." I replied through my assistant. Bennett Global's decision was based on proposal merit. Future submissions may be reviewed through standard channels. Professional. Cold. Clean. He did not respond. But 3 months later, Grant Strategic laid off 12 employees. I heard from an old contact. That did hurt. Not because Marcus suffered, because employees always pay for executive pride first. I asked my team to quietly send recruiting information to several affected staff members. 4 eventually joined Bennett Global. They were talented, underused, relieved. One of them, a woman named Priya, told me after her first month, "At Grant, we learned to make Marcus look prepared. Here, we are expected to actually prepare." I smiled. I know the difference. Marcus and Talia's marriage cracked publicly within a year. Not because of me, because performance marriages can survive many things, but not reduced applause. Talia had married a man she thought was still rising. When he began falling, she treated him the way he had once treated me. Impatiently, coldly, publicly supportive, privately resentful. I heard rumors of fights, financial stress, separate vacations, then a quiet separation. I did not celebrate. That surprised some people. Nina asked, "Not even a tiny cupcake of justice?" I said, "Maybe a mini cupcake." We laughed. But the truth was, I had stopped needing Marcus to be punished. His life was no longer the scale that measured mine. 2 years after the reunion, Westbridge Academy invited me to speak at graduation. At first, I declined. Then Mrs. Harper called me personally. She was older now. Her voice trembled. "Olivia," she said, "there is a girl this year who reminds me of you. Scholarship student, brilliant, always hiding at the edge of rooms. I think she needs to see you." So I went. The campus looked smaller than I remembered. The buildings still had ivy. The lawns were still too perfect. The plaques still carried names of families who had donated enough to become permanent. But I did not feel like an intruder anymore. I walked through the hall where I had once eaten lunch alone. I passed the chemistry room. I paused outside the library. The memory of Marcus as a boy came to me there. Not painful, just strange. A reminder that people can be kind in one chapter and cruel in another. Both can be true. At graduation, I stood at the podium in front of students, parents, teachers, and trustees. The scholarship girl Mrs. Harper mentioned sat near the second row. She wore shoes slightly too big and kept tugging at her sleeve. I began my speech without jokes. "I was a scholarship student here," I said. "And for a long time, I thought that meant I had been allowed into someone else's world." The students listened. I know now I was not allowed in. I earned in. A few teachers nodded. There is a difference. Allowed in makes you grateful for scraps. Earned in reminds you that your seat is not charity. The scholarship girl looked up. "Good." I continued. "Some of you come from families whose names are on buildings. Some of you come from families whose names are on bills. Both of you will meet rooms that try to define you before you speak. Do not let them." The audience quieted further. Work hard, yes, but do not become invisible inside your hard work. Keep records. Ask for credit. Share credit. Respect the people who clean the rooms where you celebrate. Respect the people who feed you. Respect the people who know how to fix what you only know how to use. I paused. My father was a baker. He woke before sunrise every day. For years, I thought I had to become successful enough to move away from that story. Now I know that story is the reason I built anything worth having. My voice shook slightly. I let it. Success is not becoming too polished to remember who helped you eat. Success is building tables long enough for the people who were once left outside. The applause came slowly, then loudly. Afterward, the scholarship girl came to me. Her name was Amara. She said, "My mom cleans houses." I smiled. My father baked bread. Sometimes people here make me feel like I should hide that. I know. What do I do? I looked at her carefully. You remember that some people inherit rooms. Others learn how to build them. Builders should never be ashamed. She cried. I hugged her. That moment was worth more than the reunion applause. Years passed. Bennett Global continued to grow, but growth became less thrilling than purpose. We launched more school nutrition programs, expanded ethical sourcing, built training kitchens in low-income communities, funded scholarships, bought back struggling bakeries and turned them into worker-owned cooperatives. The bakery on Willow and Fifth remained our spiritual center. I had restored it fully. Not as a production site, as a place of memory. The front still sold bread every morning. The back held a small museum wall with photos of my father, my grandmother, my mother, and the early Bennett table team. On the counter sat a framed note in my father's handwriting. "Flour on your clothes means somebody ate today." People took pictures of it. I still cried sometimes when I saw it. One rainy afternoon, Marcus came to the bakery. Not to my office. Not through lawyers. The bakery. I was there for the anniversary of my father's death, helping the staff shape roles because grief still lives in hands. When I saw Marcus through the window, I almost asked someone else to handle him. Then I wiped flour from my palms and stepped to the front. He looked older. Not ruined. Not dramatic. just softened by losing battles with his own reflection. "Olivia," he said. "Marcus." He looked around the bakery. "I haven't been here in years." "I know." His eyes landed on my father's note. Something changed in his face. "I owe you an apology." I waited. Not cold, not warm. Open enough for truth. He took a breath. "For the reunion, for the marriage, for taking credit, for letting my mother and Talia treat you like you were less, for using your father's work and not honoring him, for calling myself self-made when I knew better." Specific. That mattered. Still late, but specific. "I was jealous of you," he said. That surprised me. "Of me?" He nodded. "You had something real. You had something real. The bakery, your father, food that meant something. I had polish. I knew how to talk about value. You knew how to create it." I said nothing. "I think I spent years trying to turn your depth into my brand, because I didn't know how to build my own." The bakery was quiet around us. A young employee glanced over, then returned to stacking bread. Marcus looked embarrassed. Good. Not destroyed. Just properly embarrassed. "I am sorry," he said. I leaned against the counter. "I hear you." His eyes lifted. That phrase again. Not forgiveness wrapped with a bow. Not punishment. Acknowledgement. He looked at the display case. "Could I buy bread?" For a moment, I almost laughed. Then I nodded. "Of course." He bought one loaf of my father's original honey wheat. He paid with cash. The young cashier handed him the bag. As he left, he turned once. "Your father really was the wisest man in flour." This time, the sentence had no performance in it, only regret. I watched him walk into the rain. I felt no pull to follow. That was healing. Not the billionaire headline. Not the reunion applause. Not the scholarship speech. That moment. Standing in the bakery, flour on my sleeves, no longer needing the man who erased me to understand me, but peaceful enough to accept that perhaps he finally did. People love the dramatic part of my story. They love the reunion, the microphone, the screen reveal, the billionaire twist, Marcus going pale, Talia losing her smile, the whispers about his company needing mine. I understand. Those moments satisfy something. But the real story is not that I became a billionaire. The real story is that I stopped feeling poor in rooms full of people who had more money than my father. The real story is that I learned success does not mean becoming louder than those who mocked you. Sometimes success means becoming so rooted that their laughter no longer reaches the part of you that once believed it. 8 years after our divorce, Marcus mocked me at our school reunion because he remembered the wife he left. He remembered the quiet girl, the scholarship student, the baker's daughter, the woman who used to soften her own brilliance so his would look brighter. He did not know the woman who had been built afterward. The woman who signed her own contracts, owned her own company, bought the hotel, funded the scholarships, fed children, created jobs, restored bakeries, wore simple dresses because peace does not need sequins. He did not know I had become a billionaire because he had stopped looking the moment I was no longer useful to his story. That was his mistake. But here is what I want you to understand. Becoming rich was not the revenge. Becoming free was. Money gave me tools. Freedom gave me breath. Money bought buildings. Freedom let me enter them without shrinking. Money funded scholarships. Freedom let me put my father's name on them without asking anyone's permission. Money made people listen faster. Freedom taught me I was worth hearing even when nobody clapped. If you are listening from a place where someone has mocked your quietness, your background, your family, your work, your clothes, your education, your grief, or the life you are trying to build, hear me clearly. Quiet does not mean empty. Humble beginnings do not mean small endings. Being underestimated is painful, yes, but it can also be cover. Let them think you are behind while you learn. Let them laugh while you build. Let them call your life quiet while you protect your peace. Let them leave if they cannot see your worth without a spotlight. And when you finally return to the room where they once made you feel small, do not go back to beg for approval. Go back standing. Go back whole. Go back with your father's words in your heart, your own name on the paper, and nothing to prove to people who only respect power after it becomes visible. Marcus said I had lived a quiet life. He was wrong. My life had been full of ovens, factories, boardrooms, children eating better lunches, women earning fair wages, scholarships, grief, bread, memory, and rooms I built from scratch. It was not quiet. It was meaningful. And meaning, when it finally speaks, can silence a ballroom.